That works. Oh my god.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That is a podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name is Ty. I am one of your co-hosts.
And I am the pretentious, self-righteous critic, otherwise known as your co-host, Distance.
But we're just being factually true this episode. I thought don't you usually do a funny intro or that's like kind of... I like just the brutally honest one. I'm down with it. I'm down. And tonight is the Metacast movie show about Velvet Buzzsaw. Velvet Buzzsaw is a 2019 satirical thriller, both written and directed by Dan Gilroy.
Stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, Toni Collette, and a name that may or may not be pronounced Zaw, Zhao, or Zoe. Depends where you look.
And the budget for this movie was about $21.2 million, and there was no box office release for this.
The tomato meter is 61% with an audience score of 35%.
Velvet Buzzsaw is at its core a satire of the art world. The plot centers around some mysterious paintings that are found of an unknown dead artist and the possibly supernatural forces that they are tied to. My initial take on this movie while watching it was not terrible, but it was also not remarkable either. It was something to watch. I was entertained. There were definitely points that I laughed. There were definitely a few jump scares, but all right. So full disclosure, I am trying to make myself a little less of a film slut, and I'm trying to say no to more movies. I've said, if we look at my track record, I've said a lot of yeses. So I'm trying to narrow that down. So one of the questions that I'm trying to ask myself when I review a movie is, does this film do what another film wants to do, but better? Should I recommend this because it's better, because it does something in a good way? If you're looking for a horror movie with Toni Collette in it, I think you should watch Hereditary. If you want a thriller with Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo, watch Nightcrawler. If you're looking for a good satire of the art world, fucking watch Exit Through the Gift Shop. With that being said, I like this movie. Again, it's fine, but I think that it really is just that. It is almost reminds me of the 2017 Justice League, where I didn't hate it, but it was also just, it was there. I did enjoy parts of it. I can't make it sound like it was miserable or anything, but I do to give this a verdict, I am going to give this one a no. I think that it has enjoyable parts, but I think that if you miss it, I don't really think you're missing much. What about you?
This movie, there's some value here, but there's also some things that are not so great. And there's some good acting. There's also some bad acting. There's some legitimately creepy. Then there's some badly done campy.
I agree with all of that.
And when I first saw the movie, this is the second time I've actually seen it. I kind of subjectively, I wasn't that enthused about it. And the second watch through, I think I noticed some quirks that I kind of liked about it. And to me, this is silly, but for some reason, the character that Jake Gyllenhaal plays, Morph, he seems like he should be Patrick Bateman from American Psycho,
okay,
but he's not. And like the weird like semi like romance-ish stuff, it's just weird.
It is weird.
So as far as like should you actually watch it, I mean, I just, oof. It's funny to be really harsh about this movie in particular, because this one, okay, now I've adjusted the arms to my chair and all is well. Um, the Okay, I liked it. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is funny. I have a huge thing for Toni Collette. Basically in everything that she does. I haven't seen a movie where she played a role that I hated. Also would be interested in hanging out with Toni Collette. And she plays the character well in this movie. Jake Gyllenhaal, great performance. Rene Russo, also fantastic. I think it's pronounced Zhao Ashton.
I thought it was
also
Zawe.
good performance.
I've never. I was just like trying to read it out. I thought it was Zawe, but yeah.
Well, some people say it's pronounced like Bowie with a Z, Zoe. But a couple places it says Zhao, and a few other places it says, I don't know. Actors with confusing names. Can you guys just please have names that don't confuse me? So I mean, the performances are good. So if you want to like watch people play interesting characters, okay, cool. The story's a little silly. The subplot, I guess, is a little over the top. It's a satire. So if you judge it as a movie that's intended to be a little backwards and silly and stupid, then yeah, watch it. But generally, it's not the best damn thing I've ever seen. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll watch it again. I'll probably watch it a few more times because I liked it. But if you want to watch a movie, maybe don't watch this one. Maybe watch any of the shit that Ty just mentioned, but maybe don't watch this. In fact, watch all the shit Ty mentioned, but don't watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like such a tool because when we do the should you watch now, like I never have my mind made up anymore. So I basically sit here and think out loud. Do what?
I like doing that. I do the same thing too. Like a lot of times I don't even have like a official verdict yet. Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that they acted the roles that they had really well. I think everybody did a really good job. I think Jake Gyllenhaal playing that character was spot on.
Yeah.
Rene Russo, everybody. Toni Collette played brilliantly. These people, like, you know what? I'll bet you like all the people that did the ratings for the audience score are from LA, and that's why they hated this movie so much.
Possibly. Maybe. I bet I'm just an LA guy at heart. That's what it is. I need to move out west, man. She's calling me. No. Yeah, let's bring spoiler Terry. How do I bring him out in an interesting way? Let's bring spoiler Terry out here. Here he is. Here's the little guy. All right. And all right. Let's get into this.
What?
I'm really enjoying editing spoiler Terry into the episodes, and like I'm trying to do different things with him. So this time I'm gonna eat him. Let's see how that goes.
That one's gonna be hard. Okay.
Oh man,
I'm Ty, and I create work for myself.
I've really enjoyed the video editing, man. Like the stuff I did on that Tarkov video. Like I enjoyed doing a lot of that, like bringing in the pog faces and all that for the funny moments. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. Back to the actual the movie at hand here. I did love. Okay, my first note here is everyone is so fucking pretentious. I love it. I do think that they, like you're talking about, the acting, the way that, I mean, we didn't even touch on fucking Malkovich. He is also brilliant in this. Like all of them are they play the pretentious art. Excuse me, Jesus. I switched to sparkling water, and that may not be a good decision. I find myself burping like all the fucking time now. But they all play the pretentious art assholes so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the movie even starts with two Karens at the front of the event, like bitching, like we're on the list. Like you need to talk to somebody now. Who is your supervisor? Like all that shit.
And that's also done so perfectly, where it also illustrates how important Morph is, that he just gets to walk past the entire line while that's going on and pick up his badge and everything. Like that scene is done well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see like he's also quite smug at the fact that he gets to do that, and these other people are over there. But I mean, even the stuff that you hear him say, like at the very beginning of the movie, Josephina finds out her boyfriend's cheating from someone, says she's done dating artists, tells Morph about it, and then later on, Morph is like babbling on, like floating in the water, and I tapped into a new part of consciousness. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? It's like kind of like pseudo-intellectual talk. Like, you just say stuff like that, and like you said, I think it makes you interesting. And I mean, the biggest thing that about the movie, I think, is that they really do a good job of, I mean, not just being pretentious, but they annoy the audience.
Yeah.
Like, I find them all very annoying, all the
Yep.
characters.
Yeah.
Even the fact that the guy's name is John Don Don, really.
Done on and on and on. Yeah, that I mean, that'll come up later, but yeah, I had a really tough time picking my movie crush for that reason. Every character in this is so fucking annoying that it's like, I don't want to be around them. Like, this is I don't have a crush on this person. They fucking suck. But yeah, the other thing that I think was great about that is not only are they do the annoying and the pretentious well, but they do it in an accurate way that shows just the hierarchy of that world and how certain people need to suck up to other certain people because this person's a museum curator and this person writes reviews and this person does this. And like, it just shows this stupid networking that happens where people just end up being super fake because they need someone else's, like, you know, leg up in business, basically. That, yeah, you see that so often in so many parts of the world that I do like when a movie just kind of, like, you know, throws that in your face and shows how stupid it is.
Yeah, there's like the funeral scene is really weird because you can tell that nobody at that funeral actually gives a shit about the person that's dead, and they're like talking shit about the color of the casket, like, oh god, this music is so stuffy. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was hilarious. But I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal, Morph's kind of got a point though, that I do value being consistent to your ideals. You know, it's like, if what he does is criticize art and everything, should he, I mean, like what he said at the what was his response at the funeral, just whisper the truth, basically, or like yes, he's being an asshole, yes, it's not the time and place for it, but I do, at least he is being consistent with his ideals, and like, instead of just saying like, oh, it's a beautiful casket, oh, it's, you know, like, so many people are that type of fake, where instead of actually saying, like, honestly, the best thing to do would just not say anything. But at least he's not lying and being like, oh, it's a beautiful, beautiful service with a beautiful casket and da-da-da. But
yeah, it's like, oh, that was so great.
Yeah, just like how everyone talks about, like, your baby's so cute. It's like, no, everyone's baby is ugly. Stop calling those babies cute. You're not doing anyone any favors.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then, like, there's a baby that I'm like, you know what? That baby's not ugly. And that's the nicest thing I can say.
Yeah, they're just little wrinkled mangoes. That's all they are.
Like, I, like, for the first time came clean to my niece. She's, how old is she? 5 now? Yeah. Yeah, she's 5. I'm a terrible uncle. But I came clean to her recently. Like, she was like, hey, watch this. She does a fucking cartwheel. Like, 3 of them in a row. And I was like, you know what? I'm legitimately impressed. I just straight up told her, I was like, you know, sometimes I tell kids things that they do are cool that I don't actually think are cool. But right now, I actually think that's a cool thing you did. And I don't think she's at the age where she would sit there and be like, how many things has he said were cool that I did that he didn't think were cool? She's probably just like, okay, cool. You think it's cool. That's all that matters.
If you really wanted to give her a complex, you should have been like, what, you can't do 4? Just 3?
And make sure you use the 2 words "good enough." That's how you screw up any kid.
Yes, that's it. You just ask her. Oh, so 3 was good enough for you?
It's like, oh, okay. I see. Okay. That's how you want to do things. If that's the level of performance you want to be, and also I just realized Morph Vanderwalt would be a terrible uncle. But yeah, I mean, my level of consistency even isn't that great. And you know, it's funny that we watched this movie because we critique movies.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that sometimes, and it's exactly what you said in the intro for this one, like you're trying not to just throw yourself all over every movie that comes our way. Yep. You know, you actually want to be more discerning. And there's times where, and it's something that we say often. I know you do, and I say it quite often too. Like, look, I know this is someone's art. Yeah. Yep. And it's funny because after that there's but. Yeah. Yep. And then just eviscerate everything about the film. Yep. And it does feel a little bad, but you know, it's like people don't understand. Sometimes we don't think it takes a lot of energy and quite a lot of money just to make a bad movie.
Yes. Just to finish a movie. Yes. The amount of like undone ideas and exactly. Yeah.
It's not easy. So sometimes I feel kind of shitty, like saying that a movie like sucks or whatever. But the thing is that,
with that being said, though, let me touch on that idea, because there's part of that almost has the kernel in it of like, oh, well, I can't do this, so I can't critique it. But I feel like it's completely fair to critique as a viewer versus like, I haven't put in the time and effort and everything to become a filmmaker. That doesn't mean that I need to be capable to like put out a good film to critique it. You know, same way as like, right. If I go, like, I'm not capable of removing my own appendix, but if I go to the doctor and he fucks it up, I'm not gonna be like, oh, well, he did a good job because I can't do it myself. Like, you know, it's like that person is like, they're an quote unquote expert of doing this. Like, they're a filmmaker. They're putting their art out there to be a fit. Like, I think it's fair to criticize it, even if I can't do as well myself. But.
And, you know, I kind of struggle between the sort of, as a viewer, I can give my opinion of art. And that's the thing, is like, I've never, when it comes to stuff like this, I don't think that my opinion is somehow like objective truth. Like, it's an opinion, and I'll never call it anything other than an opinion.
Yeah.
But it almost seems that sometimes when critics get really popular, that somehow people view their opinion objective truth as objective truth.
Doesn't Josephina even say that to Morph in this, where it's like, oh, in our world you are God? Or no, I think it's Redora that says that or whatever. But yeah,
Redora says it. But I sometimes I struggle between, like, as a viewer, I have the ability and even the right, I guess maybe, to like critique the art, but I struggle between that and like the Teddy Roosevelt Man in the Arena speech.
Yeah, okay.
Not the critic who counts, like, not the one who points out the strongman stumbles.
But in all fairness, though, we are putting our own art out there for anyone to critique and judge. We are in the arena as well, even though we are not making films. We are making content that is out there that anyone can comment on and tell us we're idiots and tell us we're wrong. And
but they don't do podcasts, so they can't critique us. Yeah, I mean that is true. We're putting some stuff out there, and you know, it's like kind of, but I think that, you know, if you put out art of any kind, any creative, whatever. Also, if you want a cat, I might be getting rid of one soon. You should be understanding and accepting the risk that someone's going to look at it and they might absolutely hate it, and they will tell you that. You know, I've on the little YouTube channel that I had going on for a little bit, that I'm now changing and I'm going in a different direction with. I never had anybody say anything bad, so I don't really know what it's like. But the risk is always there. You put something out there, and someone can make fun of something as silly as, like, you know, hey man, you got fucked up eyebrows, you know, and then it's like, oh, and that can be like, ouch. But yeah, I guess if you're going to put something out there, you just have to accept the fact that people are going to critique it. And if you can't handle that, then maybe don't put anything out.
Yep.
It does require some degree of courage, which, by the way, that's one thing that I did find irritating about one thing that Morph says, looking at, I forget which, what piece he's looking at, but he says something about, like, oh, these are just, you know, the same color palette as his other works. There's no courage. And that, to me, that seemed like an overstep.
I can see that, yeah.
You know, because it's one thing to, like, communicate the art, but to say that someone isn't courageous in doing what they do. But even then, like, even when people say, like, nice things, like when Morph compliments Josephina and he says, your skin is the most beautiful cross between almond and saddle brown.
I mean, those are two paint colors. I think it is like they're from the traditional palette, so it is just kind of like being the lame art dude that like I know my oil paints like.
And that's the other thing. This Josephina seems to only be attracted to his sort of influence in the art world.
Yeah. And as soon as that wanes, yeah, she's gone. Yep. Oh shit! Did I? God damn it, dude! What the fuck? I don't understand why I'm getting moved to my own AFK channel in my own server. It happened again.
Happened again?
Yeah, I don't understand why. I don't know. Yeah, so I lost you for a second there. But one thing I did want to touch on before we got too far away from it. You were just talking about this, but yeah, the whole idea of like taking criticism and how sometimes like why does it like okay, we do another show here that Distance, me, my father, and our friend Craig, we all do a show called the Metacast Music Dudes. It's done pretty well in a few episodes. I actually like I should be happy with some of it. Unfortunately, this is the stuff that bothers me. It's like we get 1,000 views on this episode. That's fine. 39 up, like thumbs up. That's great. One person gave it a dislike. Why did they dislike it? What did we do in the episode that made that? Like, what is it about? Like, why do I care more about the 1 thumbs down than the 39 thumbs up? You know what I mean? Like, for some reason though, like you're talking about, it's like the negative reviews, the negative like comments will strike you more than any positive you get. But
yeah, and I guess a lot of that's just, I mean, I know this is a lame thing to say, but because we're human. I mean, I guess as you get older, it's so much easier to be negative. Like, it's so much easier to be more negative about things and less positive. And, you know, I think that it's like acknowledging negatives, but recognizing that there's still opinions, but then being aware enough to not just dismiss every negative comment as an opinion.
Yes.
So that can be really hard.
Well, yeah, exactly. There are negative valid comments. There are valid criticisms, but then there are just, you know, negative comments that aren't going to teach you anything or make you better in any way. But
yeah, like, you know, someone acts like a jerk talking to somebody else and you say something to them about it and their response is something like, well, that's your opinion. Yeah. Like, what? I mean, yeah, but...
Well, I think a great example on my one YouTube video that has done the best out of any video I've ever made, there was a negative comment, quote unquote, that said something about like too much effects on the microphone made me not want to listen to it. And it's like that. I take that as constructive criticism. I you know, went back and reviewed how my audio sounded and then possibly adjusted it. Like that is more than just your video sucks. You know, like if someone gives actual like points you towards a direction, like, oh, this part of what you did may need an assessment or review, then that is valid criticism. But
yeah, and there's, you know, like if someone says that fucking sucks, okay, you've helped me none.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Thank you for that. If you just want to, and then that might be one of the things where it's like, well, are you on YouTube? Yeah. Do you have a podcast? Like, and then only in those situations, you know, when someone has nothing else to say other than like, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Not just destructive criticism, just not constructive.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, what you've just said is so ridiculous, it can't destroy anything.
Yeah, it's just basically a non-comment. Yeah,
right. It doesn't help anything, but it doesn't destroy anything either.
There's one thing I wanted to bring out here in mind. I love we were talking about like how pretentious everyone was, and they did a few things that really illustrated that well. I thought the when John Don Don shows up at Malkovich's studio and is seeing it for the first time, and he's like, oh, "This is remarkable," and it's the bags of trash in the middle of the ground. He's like, "Yeah, that's not art." It's like that actually happened at like a museum somewhere where there was something that was set out that was literally not supposed to be an exhibit, and it became like a big like, I forget exactly what it was, if it was like an umbrella someone left leaning somewhere or something, like, but that type of shit is hilarious. And also I forget if it was in Josephina's place or where, but someone had actual like stills from Warhol's Empire on their wall, like literally the most unwatchable movie ever, and it was just like frames of it on the wall. It's like, holy shit. Yeah, this type of pretentious art assholes are just, it's so funny.
It's almost like an emperor's clothes kind of thing, because it's, you know, you're sort of like look at something with a little bit of like disgust or confusion. And it's like, oh, this is remarkable, and you're like, am I supposed? Oh yeah, it's great. Yes, I really see what the artist has done here. That can be summed up in 2 sentences. I think that whole thing can be summed up in 2 sentences. When his art is first put into the museum, there's 2 people, and the one person says, I think it was his art, says, "What does it say?" And then another person says, "What do you feel?" There you go.
Yep. You really made me think of it when you were saying that right there, just because of especially how you pronounce the last name. I need to know, be honest, how many times during this movie did you either internally or out loud say "D's nuts" whenever they were talking about D's? Did you ever say it?
I didn't at all. Like it didn't occur to me that was a place you could go with it until just now. But now that you've said that, I will be thinking it for the rest of the podcast.
It definitely happened to me multiple times during the movie where he was like he'd be like, because they use it as a noun to represent like a body of work. He's like, what about D's? D's nuts? It worked every time I did it for myself. I cracked myself up the entire movie. It made this movie better, honestly. If you guys want my commentary where there's just an audio track of me saying D's nuts over and over and over again, it's available on YouTube.
The thing that's weird to me is I don't know if it's just like casting or if he just has a good agent, but John Malkovich he seems to own like every fucking role he does.
I think he's just a very, very good actor too. I think a big part of it. I think he's just a great actor.
And I've said this in a past episode, and I have to mention it now. I know you've heard it, but I don't know if this is true or not. But in an interview, Matt Damon, I think it was the movie Rounders that he's in.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Where John Malkovich is like a loan shark type of dude
with an awesome Russian accent. Yeah.
What Matt Damon claims is that the first take they did, John Malkovich sits down and then the scene starts and he says across the table, "Where is my money?" And then they're like, "Okay, take 1." And then he like leans across the table and very quietly says to Matt Damon, "I'm a terrible actor." Like I don't know if that actually happened, but I so fucking hope that it did.
Yeah, I hope so. And I hope that was like their first scene together too. I hope that was like young Matt Damon really nervous to meet, John Malkovich has really made a name for himself, and that's like their first interaction. That would be great.
And I have a feeling that he might have done it on purpose just because he thought it would be funny, because he may remember working with people, back in the day where he felt intimidated, and that, he's just like, well, I'm just going to completely blow this first take just because it's hilarious. But, like I'm actually looking through some of his body of work right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to see if I can, any of the films I've seen, like
that was back in the day when blowing the take actually cost a lot of money too. Like now that we film digitally, you can just like bloopers are fun to make, but it's like back when they were filming on film, blowing a take like that is like, all right, you just cost everyone $3,000. Great, thanks. Like,
yeah, and I I think he secretly just knew he could get away with it too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Teddy KGB, that was the name of the character that he played.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he was in The Man in the Iron Mask. He played he didn't play D'Artagnan, he played who was that? I forget which musketeer. Oh, Athos.
Was he? Okay.
He was in Con Air.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah.
Yep.
Mulholland Falls. I really enjoyed most of the stuff he was in. I think I'm gonna make a point to go back and just kind of like shred through like much of his body of work. But because the thing is that Malkovich has this style of speaking when he acts, but he didn't do it in this movie.
Yep. He's showing his range, man.
There you go.
It would be like if Shatner didn't have the pauses. It'd be weird.
That's true. He wouldn't be Shatner at all. Apparently, he was in a 2020 movie with the other Hemsworth
What was that called?
and Vince Vaughn and Vivica A. Fox.
What is that movie called? What is this? I don't think I've even heard of this.
Patrick Muldoon from Starship Troopers is in it. It's called Arkansas.
I have never heard of this. Arkansas.
We might need
film,
to do
but-
this one.
Yeah, I'm down to watch this. Interesting. Okay, what is this? It's a neo-noir crime thriller. All right, I'm sold. I like if it's like a weird fucking genre like that. Like when someone tries to do neo-noir, that's awesome. Like do you remember oh my god, one of my favorite, I know how cheesy this movie is, but I fucking love it. Have you ever seen Dark City?
Yes.
Oh, like that is such a like love the tone and the feeling of that movie. How it's so like that is neo-noir to me. Like that is like it is just it's so cool though.
I remember how badly I wanted to see that movie, and because we were quite young when it came out. I think we were probably like 12 or 13, maybe
Probably,
11, and I couldn't at the time. And I remember seeing it at the Blockbuster I worked at. Like I'd forgotten about it. I was like, oh, I'm so excited to see this, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah. It was
but
like
I see what you're saying.
Such a cool premise though. That was like the idea of that movie was really cool, and then just a lot of the way it played out was not the best. But the aesthetic of that movie though was perfect though. All of the stationary camera shots, like the super like 1940s like noir style.
Yeah, stylistically it was an interesting film, but the problem is that the protagonist is actually a villain.
Yeah.
So he was much better cast as a villain in later films.
Yeah.
Particularly A Knight's Tale.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. So now that we've talked about every movie other than this one,
we can get around to it, I guess. Yeah.
Because I could really just talk about John Malkovich for like days, but he was kind of perfect for the role that they put him in this, and that he did do his kind of style a bit differently, which is funny because it made him seem less pretentious than the rest of the people in the film.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I do think there is one other character that is incredibly not pretentious. That, spoiler alert, may come up later, but I do think that I wouldn't call him the least pretentious, but probably a close second to me. He seemed like is the term post-pretentious a thing? He seemed like he would have been pretentious. Like if we saw that character 10 years before, he would have been in the middle of all of that. I think that he was over it by that point.
Yeah, he'd gained some wisdom, realized how silly everything was, and didn't really care to be that way anymore.
Yep. Well, honestly, hold on. Yes, but no, because then he also, like, to try to get back in and be relevant again, decides to start drinking again. You know, it's like he's a character that literally has like bettered himself. He became sober and everything, but because his art isn't as good sober, he's like gonna like so I don't know. Like, I mean, I do feel like he is less pretentious, but I don't know if I could like say that he's actually over it or past it, because it seems like he still wants to, like, feels the desire to be, like, you know, relevant in the art world for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem that I really have with that is it's that whole idea of the tortured genius artist that, you know, drinks and this and smokes that and whatever, that somehow that makes them better at their work, or that somehow mental illness in some way can create better art. I think in a lot of ways there's a lot of time taken away from those things when you're kind of self-medicating. And the fact that they kind of further that sort of idea, and maybe they knew that it was a bit of a fallacy, the creators, in doing so, because the film is really intended to kind of be satirical.
Yeah.
But we have this idea about like the tortured artist who, you know, is driven to drink because of their I don't know, whatever issues that make them a genius kind of thing. I've always kind of despised that, you know.
I understand. However, though, I do want to. I don't know if it's just devil's advocate but I do think sometimes substances help a lot. Look at the Beatles. I feel like their career, once they started to experiment with some like psychedelics and stuff, I think their music actually did get like a lot better and a lot more interesting. I don't know if it is correlation is not causation, but I do think like with a lot of, I don't think it's true across the board, and especially with stuff like alcohol being a depressant and like drugs where like heroin, especially stuff like that. But if you're talking about like mind expanding substances, I do think that there's been a lot of artists that, and especially visual artists then, that have done really cool stuff based on like either psychedelic trips they've had or stuff like that. But Alex Gray, if we didn't have the Tool art, like I think his art is awesome, and it's all very, very DMT inspired.
I really hate his art.
Really? Oh man.
I mean, it's okay. I further the realm I analyze.
Is that a lyric? What is that?
Stop it, kitty. Sorry. Would you like a cat? No, it's one of the lines that Morph says in the film. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on the substance, and it depends the type of use.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're tripping all the time, well, then you may not actually have the ability to grab the brush and hit the canvas or whatever other kind of. Well, it's like the episode. Did you?
Well, you've got a great example. Before we get too far from it, great example right there with Pink Floyd. Look at Sid Barrett versus the rest of the band. That. Yeah.
Did you ever watch Bojack Horseman?
Yes, that is probably my favorite animated series of all time. Yeah, I'm a huge Bojack.
I actually hate it, but I watched it, all of it, because I just wanted to fuel my disgust for the show. Some of it's kind of funny. I mean, the humorous parts are funny. Like, it's just some of it I'm kind of like, it's like, hey, this too much. It's too much. The episode where it's like him, and I think I've talked about this on here before. It's him and his roommate and I don't know if that's his agent or what kind of girlfriend person.
Yeah.
And they're trying to like finish this book, and he's like, oh well, there's only one thing we got to do now. If we want to finish this book, we have to do all the drugs. Yeah. And they get like really, really super, super fucked up on everything that's there. And then when they wake up in the morning, they've written like 3 shitty lines.
Yep.
I don't know if it was a book or a screenplay, but sometimes you think something's going to turn out great, and then you realize later on that it's garbage.
Yeah.
At least in your sort of unaltered opinion. Sometimes things can seem better than they are when you're a little high, but like I said, it's the type of use, it's the type of substance. I don't think alcohol really helps with art.
I would usually agree with that. I like the Carlin theory. I think George Carlin had a theory with that. That was it was write high, edit sober.
Oh yeah.
That it's like he would acknowledge that it's like maybe the substances would help him like maybe come with ideas that possibly he wouldn't reach sober, but then like, yeah, you need to rein it in, and you can't just have the entire creative process be like, driven by like some sort of substances or whatever. But
yeah, the whole thing is leaving the whole thing to it's probably a bad idea, because it's also acknowledging that your brain, nature has screwed a couple things up. Nature does screw some things up, but in many cases it tends to do okay.
Yeah.
So it's just acknowledging the fact that the unaltered brain is still capable of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't talked about the actual art though, the actual paintings.
Okay.
I think they did a really good job making that shit look creepy.
Yes. And not only creepy, but I think they did a really good job of actually making a lot of it interesting. Like, there were pieces that were just like, yeah, what is this trying to say? And it was like rather, which was cool, because a lot of the like, for instance, Sphere and what was it, Robo Hobo, or like, the pieces that they really show in that were like not at all as interesting visually to me as the Dees pieces. Those were more like, oh shit, yeah, what is that? Like, that's actually kind of cool to look at.
I think it gives the audience more of a vibe and understanding of why so many of the characters are just completely enamored
Yeah. Yep.
by this stuff.
Yeah, like the one dude, that works, I forget what his line even is, but he's like, this speaks to me. He's like, I'm not just some like, how does he say it? He's like, I don't just do maintenance stuff. Like,
yeah, like I'm a man of many skills or something like that, or I'm not just a man of few, whatever he says. But yeah, that shit speaks to me.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thing to say.
It's cool though, because it is like, I mean, I've had that kind of reaction to art before though. Like it hasn't really been like visual art that much for me, but there is like, for me, it's normally music, but like, you hear a certain piece that for some reason it's like, oh shit, this really resonates with me. And you don't really know why. And kind of in that moment, I like that. Like you can see that in the character. I think, I don't remember who that actor was, but I do think that moment was done well, where it's like, even the confusion in his face, it's almost like he didn't really understand why. He just knew that it did.
Yeah, and that's something that is, I think that it's true to be said across all types of art, even video games. If I consider those to be an art form for sure now.
Oh, yeah.
There are some things that will kind of speak to you on this different level that will really immerse you, and that will really, you'll get something out of. And then someone else might be like, this game is garbage.
Yep.
And it just doesn't really do anything for them. Yeah, and the way that they do the other art, and I didn't really think about this until you said it, that it makes that art seem the art that's not D's, that they make the art look silly.
Yeah.
Yep. Like hacky almost. And the audience themselves have this thought that, yeah, that's ridiculous. And then you see these little gems floating out here by this new, dark, kind of spooky, mysterious artist who had all of his shit stolen, basically, that he wanted destroyed.
And put blood in all of it too. Like,
yeah. And that part was kind of like, I'm sure there are artists that have done that.
Yeah.
I'm positive there are. Like, for instance, was it Lil Nas X?
Yeah, but it's supposed to be in like the shoes
with the mischief, with the mischief clothing, with the little, they put the blood in the shoes, which that's kind of cool, I guess. I mean, it's an interesting idea. So.
Oh my God. Okay.
Fun fact.
Don't Google this. All right. So just to try to like think of one of the pieces that had that in it, I Googled blood in paintings, and I found this article from 2015 that was all the times artists use blood for radical work. A lot of it was like performance art with a lot of blood. It is not like just using a little bit in a painting. A lot of this is like, holy shit, that is a bloody article. Oh my God. That is definitely TOS.
Okay. I will not be I will not be Googling that. Thank you. I'm glad you've warned me in advance.
But I've definitely heard of it. And there was even like, there was a famous painting years ago that was, it was the Virgin Mary, and there were like a bunch of vaginas around the outside of the border done in elephant dung. Do you remember that being like a big thing in a museum? Like, I know that there's been artists using like actual organic matter.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, this was Chris O'Philly, the Holy Virgin Mary from 1996. Yeah, used a lot of elephant poop as some of the paint, apparently.
There was a artist that urinated in a large like aquarium tank for several months, and then submerged a crucifix in it.
That shit speaks to me.
Shit speaks to me. That piss speaks to me. It's just, there's a lot of weird things that people try to, and hey, maybe to some people it is art, and that's fine. Yeah. The thing you were saying about someone leaving trash out in museum. Well, what about a corpse?
Yes,
that's missing an arm.
That was fucking hilarious. Okay, that probably was my favorite scene in the movie. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah.
It's like, what do you, what are they, what does it say? How do you feel?
Although I do gotta say, that sounded horrible. I do have to say, don't think it was a great Toni Collette death scene. But I think, I mean, it fit the tone of the movie, but it was just like, it was like overacted and campy, in my opinion. It's just like, I don't know, it was like kind of underwhelming.
Yeah. Well, everything about that character was a Gretchen. Everything about that character was like very extra.
Yeah.
She kind of reminded me as a more yuppie version of the character she played. A more like uppity, kind of nose in the air version of the character she played in Knives Out.
Yeah, I loved the hair choice in this movie though. The wig was great.
Yeah, they did really the wardrobe actually really did hit it for a lot of for the movie in this one. Like it really gives you the vibe that they were looking for.
Yeah.
But Demriche though, was that his name?
Demriche, yeah. the awkward ass breakup scene with him just in the kitchen like stirring the eggs, that was hilarious. Yeah, that was really funny too.
That was pretty funny. And the fact that you know, that Morph is clearly in a relationship, like living with, you know, a man, then all of a sudden has this very almost like weird attraction to Josephina. Like he seems as confused by the attraction to Josephina as the other individuals are in their attraction to the art. Like
yeah,
the way he talks about it, he's like, I feel good when I'm with you. And
yeah,
you know,
yeah, it's the same as like the guy
a,
that like he doesn't know why it speaks to him, he just knows that it does. Yeah.
And there's that weird scene where he's trying to say like, oh, you know, I feel, and then she's like, I found something, and he's like, I know. And then she opens up the booklet of art, and all of a sudden the conversation's completely derailed.
Yeah.
Like he like doesn't even care about what he was going to say. Like that's it.
Which does that speak to like how fickle they are or how important the art was? You know, like I can see it as either way, right? Yeah.
A little bit of both. I mean, like how much the art matters and also how fickle. But Josephina, like her motivation was all about keeping a job.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
And it's that sort of, you know, like, you know, what my dad used to say, and this is a common saying, I think, you have to shake the right hands and kiss the right asses. And that kind of goes back to the whole thing. The fact that she even uses Morph to get back at her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. Yep.
Like go, you know, do what you do and like make everybody hate his art. And later on, he admits he actually liked it.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
that was your first bad review. Like,
yeah. It's like you don't know. She says something like you don't know what you like anymore. It's like, well, I do know, and you know, Ricky's shirt just happens to be one of them.
Yep.
And yeah, like that whole thing was ridiculous. The line that she says in that awkward breakup scene right before he leaves about like liking him or whatever. She says, "I was never
particularly obsessed." Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a weird thing to say to somebody.
No, such an art critic thing to say. Like it fits their characters.
Yeah,
and even
true.
how Demriche's response to it was, ooh, you know, it's like that hurt more than I never loved you. You know, that's like just the way that's worded is like, oh yeah, that's the LA like way of saying that.
Like, oh, art critics swear. Ooh.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand that weird like collective thing that Demriche is in, and they talk him like into it, and then like the tough guy shows up at the studio, Hayes, and like he goes to a dive bar to meet this guy to talk about this group, and then Josephine is there. I guess it was just a way to get the plot to happen.
Well, okay, so Yeah, not being in the art world, it's not something that I'm like familiar with. However, I do know that artist collectives do exist. They are real things. So I don't know if it was just trying to kind of like, bring that into the storyline and you have that be, if they're going to make fun of every part of the art world, let's also include this too. But so apparently an arts collective is like a group of artists, curators, and supporters that all work together. They support and promote all the same work together. They always promote every member of the collective. Usually they share even workspace and materials and stuff like that. So it almost is kind of like, yeah, they have to bring him back in. It's like they can't let him be like part of something else. It's like, no, you're once in the collective, you're always in the collective. So I think that was more, they're just kind of poking fun at that part of the world as well, I would think. But
it sounds like the Borg collective in Star Trek. Resistance is futile. That's right. I made a Star Trek reference.
Isn't it also, oh God, who was it? The Godfather was like, once I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Like, is it also the mafia basically?
Yeah, it's the artist collective mafia. There's a question that I kind of wanted to pose about this film, about the characters in the movie.
Okay.
Do you think anyone was innocent, or was pretty much every character guilty in some way?
Can we save this question? Because my answer to that will totally ruin my movie crush.
Oh, okay. I already know who your movie crush is.
Do you?
Have to
Okay.
tell me. So,
all right. Well, then
I had a feeling.
We can go to it.
Now confirmed it.
So yes,
we
yeah.
don't have to, but
I do think there is. I do think there's one innocent character. I think there is one
I'm gonna
redeemable
argue
character.
against that.
Okay.
I'm going to argue against it.
I'd love it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Of course, it like you know who I'm talking about. Obviously, Morph. He did absolutely nothing wrong the entire movie. He was completely innocent. No, I'm kidding. I just had to see that face. No, Coco. Obviously, I mean, okay. First of all, Natalia Dyer, Nancy from Stranger Things. There's no way she can't be my movie crush just for that. But then also, yeah, the character I do think was almost redeemable the entire time. I don't think she really did anything shitty. I think she was put in shitty circumstances and just kind of tried to do her best.
She might be redeemable, but that's the thing. When I thought about this question, that was my knee jerk was Coco. Coco's the innocent one, but yeah. She knew the whole time that the guy was Eddie, I guess, the guy that Morph was living with, was actually reporting information back to Redora. It was basically like the artist version of insider trading.
Yeah.
But she never said anything to Morph, and she like allowed it to happen, mainly so she could do the whole like ass kissing thing where like you need this to get your job going on thing. You can't do what's right because you could lose your job for it. Yeah. And that's the reason why I wanted to ask the question, is because I couldn't answer it.
Yeah, I do. I think that is defensible. I think that there's plenty of situations that people are in where they cannot do the right thing because they have to get by. And I, there are always like lesser evils, and I do think that is just kind of the reality of the world.
But the question I posed was innocent. The word you used was redeemable.
True.
So, but when you say is anybody really innocent, well, no one is anywhere. Yeah. But I do agree with the word redeemable. Coco might have been not said some stuff that maybe would have been good or like moral or ethical to say, but there's a way to redeem yourself. It's not like you're just too far gone, just go back to Michigan and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I just think it's funny that they put that character in there, like the Midwestern girl that's gonna move to LA and hit it big, live your dreams in the cool city.
The only thing that would have made it more stereotypical if she was also trying to be an actress.
Yeah, I'm actually an aspiring actor. Yeah. This is just a side gig for now. Yeah. That I've had for the last 15 years.
Well, with that being said, though, like, who's your movie crush? And since we went into mine, you got to share.
So the thing for me is that with my movie crushes, I acknowledge my own stupidity a lot of the times. So I know which characters would kind of sucker me in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like maybe I'd figure them out later. Josephina would definitely be my crush in this movie. She would very well pull the wool over my eyes and have me fooled.
I can see that.
And I would think she was like super interesting and like want to talk about her job all the time. So yeah, that's the one for me. Recognizing like with the character, she's a very shitty person.
Yeah.
But it would just take me a little while to figure out how kind of like not so great she was.
That's fair. That's a good answer.
So yeah, there's movie crush. So yeah, did you notice the "No Death, No Art" tattoo on Redora's arm? It said "No Death, No Art, 1983."
Yeah, I didn't know the like meaning behind it or anything, but they almost like prominently show it in two scenes, and I wasn't really sure why. Is there like a deeper meaning behind it that you know or you're aware of?
I just figured it was the irony of it. Because everyone's dead at the end of the fucking movie.
I also like, okay, I don't know if I missed something, but I understand the reference to the Velvet Buzzsaw, that was like the punk band from that she was in years and years ago or whatever. But like, how does that tie in and relate in any way? Am I missing some sort of like theme that ties in or something? Or like, I feel like I'm missing a major piece as to why that title made sense, why it had to be a...
Hold on. I think I might understand a reference here. There was a graffiti artist in 1983 in New York City that apparently was... Oh, yeah. Apparently he... Ooh. There was a... let me see if I can look at some more details on this. This is crazy. Apparently, New York City had declared a war on graffiti years before, waging a costly, even sometimes violent effort to eradicate graffiti from the city. But let me see if I can figure this out. Michael Stewart. Yeah, it might have been related to that. Apparently, he was in the early hours of September 15th, 1983. He left the Pyramid Club in Manhattan's Lower East Side and headed for the First Avenue and 14th Street subway station to catch a train back home to Brooklyn. As he waited for the train, he allegedly pulled out a marker and began scrawling graffiti on the wall. Probably not noticing the transit police were watching him intently. The events that followed are not entirely clear, but at 3:20 a.m. he arrived at Bellevue Hospital in police custody, hogtied and badly bruised with no pulse.
Jeez.
So I don't know if this is some kind of commemoration to that, or if it's just some kind of punk rock thing.
Okay, hold on. There is. I'm going to read the last three paragraphs of this article right here. In the Urban Dictionary sense, the term is regularly used as slang for vaginas, because of course it is, as well as a type of cunnilingus that sounds particularly comedic to consider, logistically speaking. I'm not going to explain that one, just Google it yourself. I mention that last one because it feels tonally in line with why someone like Redora would name her old punk band Velvet Buzzsaw. Before her bandmate tragically died, Redora was convinced that they were destined for rock god greatness. She even got their logo tattooed on her shoulder. A nice bit of art to commemorate that time in her life. Only, as the film goes on to show us, that Redora was driven by greed, not creation, and that her greedy way of looking at art is exactly why it's so filling that she's killed by the buzzsaw at the end. Art collection is a velvet buzzsaw. You think you're merely buying a bit of beauty, but what you've actually done is enable a bunch of schemers to get rich off of manipulating systems, events, and buyers' collections, and continue to do the same, driving up the piece of art and essentially killing its soul. When you look at it like that, can you really blame the art for fighting back? So that is kind of an interesting title, but it's like that was too deep in there for me to get, and I tried. So I don't know if that really. I know that I'm not the brightest dude on the planet, but I don't know if that title went over most people's heads or if a lot of people understood that. But yeah, for me, I was kind of confused. I was like, how does this relate? It just seemed like a random kind of like tertiary thing, but.
Because you said that about Urban Dictionary, I looked up Velvet Buzzsaw on Urban Dictionary. Some of these definitions: burying your face in a... Basically, the end says and shaking your head as vigorously as possible without causing spinal injury.
Oh my god! No, hold on. The best way is burying your face in a, shaking your head as vividly as possible.
There you go. That's the one.
Oh god.
And then apparently the term itself is just slang for a vulva in some cases.
Today I learned. Had no idea.
Interesting.
I've got another thing in my notes here. Another one that I had in the wrong section, but another one of the ways that it showed how fucking stupid pretentious everyone was when Morph shows up with the protective eyeglasses and she's like, "Are those the new Persols?" I'm like, that line was perfect. That was so good.
Is that how you pronounce that too?
I'm not sure. Persols. I really don't know now.
Because they're like the simplest sunglasses you'll ever buy for over $100.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're like $500 glasses too, and I don't think they look good either. Like,
I mean, there's some like cheaper ones they have too, but oh man, yeah, I just decided to go on their website. Yeah, there's some that are up there, $500. Oof, man, yeah, it's that fallacy that you think that if you spend more, you'll get more. That doesn't always happen.
I did once have a pair of $500 sunglasses, and they were incredibly comfortable. It was. Do you remember when we looked? We worked at the same company a long time ago, and I
remember this. I still tell people about this
because we had eye care that I read through the way it worked, and apparently sunglasses were considered preventative eye care. So I was able to buy a pair of these like $500 Prada sunglasses for literally a $35 copay. It was pretty sweet, but yeah, I will confirm though, like, sure, they fit your face nice and everything, but you do not notice much of a difference between like $30 sunglasses and $500 sunglasses, other than that Prada word on the side though. That part was definitely worth it.
I think there are very few people that are that in tune with their eyewear that they would really know.
True. I will say that the whatever the pieces are that sit on your nose, that was actually very comfortable. I've had that problem a lot with glasses where like it'll kind of pinch and just be like, that part was actually very well made. But with that being, you could probably get that same exact part on a $50 pair of sunglasses. But
yeah, the problem I have with those is that my face is crooked and those are not. So I have to like adjust them so they don't like the sunglasses don't lay crooked on my face.
That's what they're made for though. That's why they're like independent floating and everything. You can like, put them wherever you need them. Yeah.
But that does kind of tell you, like someone thinking a dead body with the arm ripped off of it is actually a part of an exhibit or some trash someone left out. That you see these like sunglasses given to you by an I don't know if that's I don't know if it's an ophthalmologist or an optometrist. I know those are two different things, but I'll just say optometrist, because your pupils are dilated and someone sees them and thinks that there's some new like designer item. Also, Yeezy sneakers, ugly, just saying.
Yeezy's white t-shirt, literally just a blank white t-shirt that's like $150 because it's designed by him. You've never seen
a Yeezy white t-shirt.
Yep. It's $120 plain white t-shirt. It's sold out too because it's Kanye West's APC hip hop plain white t-shirt. It's literally just a plain white tee. I mean, again, like we talked about with the Prada sunglasses, I'm sure it is well made. I doubt you would get that shirt and it's not a good quality shirt. However, it's like it's going to be stitched probably the same as a nice $30 t-shirt. I don't think there's
more than likely, yes.
Yep.
Speaking of Kanye, completely off topic of the film, the Nike prototype Yeezys, when he was collaborating with them initially, he was actually wearing those when he went on stage and said some stuff when Taylor Swift won that award.
Okay.
Someone bought those sneakers for $1 million.
Jesus. Oh, I see that. I see the article about that right now. Jeez.
Yeah. It's nuts. Me and a guy at work were talking about that today. Completely insane.
That is.
Some people actually call him our Lord Jesus Christ.
I know. That's what I use. Just at me next time I'm here.
It's silly, but I don't know, man. I might need to get me one of these shirts.
I will sell you one for half price.
I love it.
I got $60 white t-shirts all day, man.
Looks like we got ourselves a business plan.
Oh my god. Oh, so I do have another note here that was literally right near the end of my notes is why the fuck does Redora get to survive? Oh, never mind. I really thought the movie was like wrapping up, and I was like, why is she still alive? Oh, okay.
Yep, all the artwork is gone except for her tattoo.
But okay, so that I didn't get how. Okay, so somehow through the course of the movie, it wasn't just Deese's paintings. It was then like any art became dangerous. That I wasn't really sure how that supernatural force. I mean, I guess am I looking for logic in the like mysterious movie monster that they never show?
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I think that in a lot of that stuff, his artwork was in close proximity.
Okay.
So when Redora decided to remove all of it, she was just doing it out of a sense of paranoia that she didn't understand what was happening or why. She just thought that maybe the art was killing people. And I think she just did whatever sort of made sense to her.
Okay.
Because it seemed that whenever anything happened, the art was nearby. Because there was one of his paintings on Josephina's wall that clawed at Morph.
Yes.
There were the paintings in the truck. By the way, the scene where the monkeys in the painting came to life, that shit was fucking terrifying.
That was creepy. Yeah. There was a few like for what was basically a like comedy horror, there were a few shots that were like very well done, just actual like creepy horror. Yeah.
And you know, everything about the artist and a lot of the stuff with Dee's backstory was very like House on Haunted Hill.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Kind of a little cheesy. Like let's a term we use a lot here. It was a bit heavy-handed.
Yeah, I could have done without running into the guy that worked with him for 18 years. I think that it would have just been better for his backstory to be even more mysterious. Like if Morph would have just found some of those details somewhere rather than interviewing this guy that worked alongside of him for 18 years but wouldn't really want to talk. I don't know. It just felt odd and didn't work for me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's like, oh, he was kind of a jerk and you stayed away from him and we found his dad dead. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I do agree that it would have been better to continue to keep him sort of mysterious.
Mm-hmm. I do have another one. I need to know how do you feel about that ending? Do you like that it left it kind of open for the sequel? Do you want to see Velvet Buzzsaw 2 Electric Boogaloo come out?
I didn't hate this ending.
Really? Okay.
I think that this is one of the few endings like this that I didn't hate. I think that in leaving it open, they sort of tell a story in a way that I don't even really think of it as being open. I look at that as a resolution. Yeah, like I think that it seems open-ended at first glance, like when you actually kind of look at it. But I think that if you I think of it as here's someone that just found some stuff with just, who's going to take this, and then some people just kind of came by and he was like, oh yeah, I don't know, $5. And so some people that just kind of liked it for what it was, paid someone $5, nothing crazy.
Yeah. Dude gets to go get a sandwich now or something. Yeah.
And to me, like, I almost saw it as a resolution. Like maybe this was if the art isn't destroyed, maybe this is what is best in the story. Like I recognize that it could just go to be like, oh, and then the art, it kills these people and then someone else gets it. And then many years down the line, Toni Collette in Hereditary has one. Like, I don't know, but
No, there's actually a deep piece on the ship in Alien in the 2400s. There's things like hanging in the background. That's what spawns the xenomorph actually.
Oh, but I love it. Velvet Buzzsaw, Electric Boogaloo, Ridley Scott.
But no, I did not consider that until right then, you saying that. But no, I think you're 100% right. Honestly, thinking back of the ending, they didn't do anything to make it seem ominous. that there was going to be something continuing. I think you're 100% right. I think that what was going on with Deese's paintings was punishing the people that were being greedy with his art. I don't think that it was going to come after the couple that purchased it or the street vendor. Yeah, I think you're 100% right.
I mean, that's just kind of how I interpreted the ending, and and I didn't notice until you mentioned it. Yeah, there's no like sinister music, anything like that. Yep. There's no like weird close up or strange camera work that they do at one of those endings. I think it was just very like, is what it is. Time goes on, and Dees can rest in peace. Dees can rest in peas.
Dees can.
Dees nuts can rest in peas nuts.
There's one other thing that like cracked me up at the end. Okay, so we were talking earlier about how well Malkovich acted in the movie, but then also I think how well he was used. I forgot about his character, how he had gone away to that beach house, and then the post-credit scene with him on the beach and the stick like cracked me up. Like that came back at just the perfect amount of time. Like, yeah.
That is the best part in the film, because the first time you see that, you're not exactly sure, and then it's a very nice kind of like, oh, Pierce finally found his way,
and he didn't die. I didn't really think about that till right now, but yeah, like literally that would have been funny
if he wasn't involved.
Exactly, yeah, he did not at all prosper from it, right? He tried to compete, I guess. He tried to like get back into art yep. That was a great scene though. I love that they like John Malkovich is just a fucking treasure. Like that man is awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoy the stuff that he's done, and he's done a lot of really cool films. I've liked him in everything that I've seen him in, and I do intend to watch a lot more of his stuff after this one. Yeah. So all is well. I mean, Velvet Buzzsaw goes on. The art ends up in non-pretentious people's hands. Coco goes back to Michigan.
Yeah.
And everyone that we want to be dead is dead. And Pierce just made some art in the sand for himself. So yeah.
That was a cool like piece of advice, to make something just for you. Like that I think that is kind of like what he needed to hear, what he needed to do. And I think that is something that any artist that like tries to be successful with their art at a certain point has to like sacrifice that. You're at a certain point, you're no longer creating for you. You have to create for what is marketable and what is going to make you money and what is going to put food on the table. And like, yeah, I think getting back to that of just creating for the passion of doing it, I think is exactly what that character needed. And yeah, very cool ending to a basically funny satirical story. But
yeah, and it's the cool part about that, for me at least, is that it's cool that a character that kind of seems so shitty is the one that gave him such good advice.
Yeah,
that true. Even though everybody seemed like sort of like crappy, like they didn't seem like good people, that at least Redora had an appreciation for the art when John Don Don did not really. He was just kind of there, like, giving lip service, giving a reach around to whoever he had to like get where he wanted to get. But that's another thing I want to mention about him is that character. Well, no, that's on our other podcast. Of all the other podcasts that I mentioned that we have. That scene where he dies, that shit was fucking crazy.
Yeah, that
like
was
where the exhibit that doesn't have a fourth wall now has one. Now he's not in the same room. Some weird hand comes from the ceiling. But one thing about his character that this is something that actually drives me up the wall. It's people like that are the reason why all of this quote mid-century modern furniture, why it's so damn expensive now. Because a lot of these like artsy fartsy types of people like ended up like going crazy about like how great and hip and cool it is, and like ended up kind of jacking the prices up, and it's more of like a status thing than it is, to me at least, what I can perceive, more of a status thing than like real art. And you could see that John Don Don had that shit all over.
Yeah.
Or was it John Don Don or Don John?
It was John Don Don.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
I had to. Someone had to, but he had a lot of that like 1960s style, like
Yeah.
Ames kind of design stuff, which I've recently kind of I I like because some of that stuff's actually real fucking comfy.
Yeah.
But it pisses me off that it's so goddamn expensive, and that's the reason why that character like is that's why I get angry. It's because like you're the reason why I have to pay a fortune for this shit if I want any of it.
That's funny.
Drives me nuts. Yeah, that's all I got.
Me too. Yeah.
In Cocoa, Michigan.
Actually, I'm sorry. I did have one more note.
Said that.
They did another thing that was just super real. I've had to struggle with this so much. The scene of Redora talking to her speech to text. Pop art. Pop art.
Yeah.
I've done that so much to my phone where I'm trying to like enunciate some word that Siri's fucking mishearing, and like I love that. That resonated with me. That shit spoke to me.
Agreed. Like that one. Yeah, that one got me too. Like that was one that I was like, that was a very relatable moment in the film. 100% agreed.
Let's do favorite line. I'm ready for this one. I definitely picked a doozy this week. So if you want to go first, I am more than happy to let you go first.
Mine's just it's okay. I picked this line just because it's the only character in the movie that I felt like, I really want to hang out with that character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Coco was cool, but I just wouldn't want to hang out with Coco. And it's the one character that doesn't necessarily seem touched by the wickedness of the main story. It's brilliant. I never should have quit drinking.
That's a good one. Yeah. I think now that you said that, Damrish was almost a little untouched too. He was kind of like you were
true.
As you were like leading into that, I was like, hold on, is this a Damrish line or a Malkovich line? But yeah, like
he was mostly kind of aloof almost to the craziness of it all.
He was a fan of the art. Like I loved that scene where he was really drawn into the one piece that was in Josephina's living room, and like I mean, he definitely that shit spoke to him. Yeah. But he didn't try to profit off of it. He even like I think he did the cool thing too, like we're talking about with Pierce, where he basically stepped away. He went back to his collective and he went back to like creating what he wanted to create,
Yeah, he seemed to like it in a very, very sincere kind of way.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, like the couple at the end that we talked about. Yeah. All right. So my favorite line, I picked one that it's going to be tough to deliver. It is a long one, but absolutely my favorite line in the movie. It was fucking great. This morning, somehow she got stuck inside of it. There was some kind of malfunction, and I guess it just like completely took her arm off, and she bled to death. It was horrible. Security guards thought it was part of a new installation, so they just opened up and let people in. The Dee's pop-out announcement was blasted last night, so everyone was just headed there. People just walked by like she was part of an exhibit. Then a school tour came along. The kids thought it was fake blood, so they just started stepping in it and spreading it all around, and who knows how long it would have gone on for until Coco came in to do the press for the Dees show. She saw Gretchen and just lost it. I loved that whole line, that whole scene, and that whole delivery, and just the fact, like her spelling it out. I loved that whole part.
Dude, I think that whole thing, like the whole like line you just did, like I finally understand the professional courtesy that actors have to not laugh during a scene. Because I was like, dude, like don't laugh, don't do it.
Yeah,
it took everything I had.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I could not be an actor without a lot of fucking practice. My poker face is not there. Where is my money? Yeah, I couldn't do it. Couldn't fucking do it. No. All right, you ready to give me some choices? I want to know what we're doing next week.
Yeah, these are ones that I've used before. I just happen to have them like laying around since I hadn't prepared really. You got two.
Okay.
Would you like to watch a movie about someone that everyone loves to hate, or a movie that I will pronounce very pretentiously?
Ooh. I thought we already did Everyone Loves to Hate.
Oh no, we didn't. It was about, that was an actor, a good
Oh,
actor that everyone
okay,
hates.
okay.
That
No,
was for adaptation.
okay. Then I'm down. I'm down for hating. Who does everyone like to hate?
You don't know Jack.
Ooh, okay.
About Jack Kevorkian. Have you seen that one before?
I have not. No. And it's isn't it De Niro playing Jack too?
The other one.
Oh, it's Pacino?
Yep.
That's funny.
And I love how, like, when I said the other one, like, you knew exactly.
I knew exactly who you meant. Yes, that's fucking hilarious. Yep. When did this come out? This was You Don't Know Jack movie 2010. Okay.
Oh wow.
Wow. Yeah. When was that? When was he active? Like, when was that going on?
That was in the 90s, I think.
Okay.
Where he was like on TV and shit. Jack Kevorkian. When there was a lot of sort of what's the word, controversy around him and all that. Apparently he died in 2011.
I saw that. Yeah. Interesting. This is a good one. This is definitely, I mean, there's definitely a lot to talk about with this one. I think it's going to be, I would expect most of the conversation to be not really about the movie, but probably just about the what is it? Is it considered euthanasia? I guess. I mean, it's like assisted suicide, I guess, or like, what is the like?
I think they call it assisted suicide. Euthanasia is used when talking about pets, and if you're a Nazi,
I thought it just actually had to do with young people from the Asian continent. It was just the euthanasia.
That would be the name of a Megadeth album.
Do they actually have
it's youth and Asia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a band called Youth in Asia. Yeah. Oh,
I might need to give them a listen, actually.
Yeah. There's also, it's if you go to the Wikipedia page on Youth in Asia, it just says that youth in Asia constituted the largest youth population by region in 2015. There's actually a fucking article about the youth in Asia.
Oh. Well, no. Euthanasia, apparently, the way that I guess the Nazis used it is completely incorrect.
Oh,
and
really?
The way that we use it in veterinary medicine is applied to, euthanasia, defined as the painless killing of a patient suffering from an incurable and painful disease or in an irreversible coma. That's irreversible. Yeah. The practice is illegal in most countries.
Oh, yeah. And whenever I search euthanasia, there's literally euthanasia movies, and You Don't Know Jack is the second one. What is The Sea Inside? Yeah. What is this?
What the fuck? That sounds familiar.
In 2004, it's a factual story of Spaniard Ramon Sampado, who fought a 30-year campaign in favor of euthanasia and his own right to die. Interesting, huh? But yeah, I'm excited for this one, though. This is definitely like a cool topic to explore.
Yeah, this is a fun movie. The way that Pacino does the character is really, really good.
Cool. Cool.
I mean, he does a good job, I think. I can't think of very many other people that would have been able to do this role as well as he did. I
wouldn't expect any less from him, actually. Oh, the big dog just asked a good question in chat. Did he assist in his own death? How did Kevorkian die?
Let's see, Kevorkian, illness and death. Kevorkian had struggled with kidney problems for years. He was diagnosed with liver cancer, which, quote, may have been caused by hepatitis C, unquote, according to his longtime friend Neil Nicole. Kevorkian was hospitalized on May 18th, 2011 with kidney problems and pneumonia. Kevorkian's condition grew rapidly worse, and he died from, what the fuck is thrombosis?
What is thrombosis?
Formation of blood clots inside a blood vessel. Yeah, obstructing the blood flow through the circulatory system. Apparently he died of thrombosis on June 3rd, 2011, 8 days after his 83rd birthday, at a hospital in Michigan.
It does say according to his attorney, there were no artificial attempts to keep him alive. And his death was painless.
It wasn't like an assisted death, but it was definitely more of like a DNR kind of thing, I guess.
Doesn't sound. Yeah. I mean, like, come on, practice what you preach, dude. He should.
Yeah, man. I mean, come on, dude. Like, really? Like, come on. Like, they make a movie about you and you don't even
Do as I say, not as I do, right?
stick to your guns, man.
Yeah.
Stick to your guns. Take a page from what's his name? Mort Vanderwalt's book.
Exactly. Yeah. Fucking be consistent. Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, dude, that's gonna bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you guys are watching us on YouTube and you've enjoyed the discussion, please hit the like button, subscribe to keep up to date, and comment below and tell us how you felt about Velvet Buzzsaw.
If this shit speaks to you, or if you want to further keep up to date or even join us as a guest on a future episode, please join our Discord. The link is in the description below. We will be live next week on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/TylaTV.
Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you all have a great week.